Welcome back to the Backcountry PA podcast. This is Cody, and we are finally dropping the Woodsmanship Series. Man, this one's a really fun one. I feel like I enjoy this series a lot. It's one thing that I enjoy the most, probably out of the whole podcast, is having people on for one specific topic each and really picking their brain about woodsmanship. And the best person to start out the Woodsmanship Series is Ryan Glitsky, also known as Moose, which I actually call him that for the first time in this podcast. But this one here, it was I couldn't think of anyone better to start off the Woodsmanship series with probably one of the best woodsmen that I I know, that we know really in this day and age where there's so much technology, there's so much knowledge out there. Like it's sometimes overwhelming with as much knowledge that's out there and easily accessible from us. I mean, hosting a podcast, like, it's easily accessible. I mean, you have YouTube videos, you have Instagram, you have podcasts, you have all these books now coming out for whitetails in general. So, really wanted to dive into woodsmanship in general for this. We talk about Moose's new business that he just started. Um, Experience over tech. We talk about that a good amount. Time spent in the woods, failures, time management, physical prep, the long game, the 5 key signs when he scouts. We talk about that. Terrain features. We talk about the trusting your gut or learning to let the woods tell you where to go. The mistakes that he's made over the years that he's learned from the most from to help him gain a lot of woodsmanship. We talk about that. Some major points. We slowed down to scout with his son. So he's been taking his son out more to scout with him, and it's kind of been helping him a little bit because he's been slowing down. Like, I know for me personally, like when I mark something on X or whatever mapping service you use, like, I tend to find myself booking it to that spot. This year, this offseason, I kind of slowed down. Even though it took me a little longer, I slowed down to get to the spot that I wanted to get to. It helped out a lot. I found a lot more sign. It kind of helped me put the pieces together a little bit better than rushing to that spot and getting there and there's nothing there. There's nothing good in that spot because there's things between you where you start and that spot that are probably pretty important. Granted, it may be nighttime. It may be little sign, or maybe human pressure. You may see human pressure, be like, okay, I know that I should not be in this area, or like accessing it might not be the best because there's so much human pressure right in that area. There's just a lot of things that, when you slow down and let the woods kind of tell you what's going on or where to go, once you can get in the general area, but like once you start letting the woods tell you where to go, it helps out a ton. He talked about his change in mindset. He's primarily been a rut hunter, which we've had him on numerous times for the rut before, and how he hunts it and all that kind of stuff, and some stories about the rut. But this time he's switching it up, and you're going to hear really why and how he's switching up and how he's benefiting from it. He thinks that it's going to help him in the long run, and I do agree that I find myself even doing that too. Like, I can't always tell myself I want to be aggressive because it's just hunting and just this, it's just a deer. It's not going to be life changing, anything like that. It's not going to change anything of who I am. But yet I become so like passive, and I hold back from really pushing in and trying my hardest to get to the deer that I want to get to or whatever. Like, being more aggressive is, I think, one thing that is the hardest thing as a hunter to do is you can have that mindset. You can say, oh, I want to be aggressive, but when you actually get out there and start doing it, it's like, I don't know if I can do this or not. Like I said, his failures, shot placement, trees, the the reading, the apps and the books, like, sometimes it's too much knowledge to really all soak in. But like, if you can find the right book or the right podcast or trusted source that you can rely on, or even like a mentor to lean on, like, that's a huge thing. If you have a mentor in the hunting industry or hunting community that you feel like can really teach you or show you the ropes, like lean on that person. Lean on that person to help you out in the woods. Like it's a big learn, especially if you're a new hunter. Don't just rely on podcasts and YouTube videos and you know hearsay type stuff. Like actually go out and meet someone who can maybe show you the ropes. And they might be the best hunter. They might not have a ton of nice buck on the wall, but they may help you learn. Like another set of eyes is huge, huge in the woods. Because when I see something, it might mean one thing to me, but it might not mean anything to someone else. So like, and that goes for everyone else. Like it might not mean something to someone else. So just try and expand a little bit. Try and get out there. Just explore. Just enjoy nature. Let it tell you where to go. I think is the big thing that I got from this episode. It was an amazing conversation. There's a lot at the beginning here I had to take out because there was like we just started rolling and we just got into it. Man, it was a really good episode with Ryan. I really hope you guys enjoy it, but make sure you go out into the description of this podcast and check out our partners, obviously XOP, Deer Age. If you want to get your Deer Age, I mean, this is dropping mid-July, but like you can go order a aging kit or a kill kit from them, even on their website. Use code BackcountryPA, all capitals. That'll give you 10% off your entire order. That helps us also in the end. Go check out Deer Hunter Synthetic. I've been using it. They have a in-season type of blend for a licking branch and for in the scrapes itself. They also have a spring one too, so you can use that spring and summertime. I put that in a few scrapes. Now I don't have any cell cam, so I can't give you up-to-date information because I'm going to kind of let my cameras soak all year, and when I go into the area or when I hunt that area, I may check them midday, something like that. Check them, get back in my stand, go through the card, save the ones I want to, replace the card, all that kind of stuff. But I've been seeing some stuff, and it's been pretty good. I mean, I have a doe laying in scrapes right now, but I also have a podcast with Kevin from Deer Hunter Podcast coming out probably around the October timeframe. So right around scrape week, I think is when it's going to come out. A little before scrape week, so maybe you guys can order some scrape stuff and get it going before the rut comes in. You can get those buck coming to you and those doe coming to you. Campco, we have some hats on Campco. If you go to their website, you can use 10%, save 10% by using BCPA 10 on all orders, and then it helps conservation, all that kind of stuff. Make sure if you have shirts, if you want custom shirts made, he's making some right now for actually an event that we have. Also, it's kind of connected. It's Hunt Stock, which will be there August 8th to the 10th. So Campco actually can make you shirts. So we have two shirts, just obviously one with our logo on the front left. I really like their shirts, the front left over the heart, and then the big logo on the back. And then we also have one with the main logo on the front, and then a new design that I came out with that once we get the shirts made and everything like that, I'll post what it is because I don't really want someone else that has bigger draw taking it from us. So this way, when it's on a shirt, it's like, hey, we did this first. It's a measuring the memories over inches, but I made a cool design over that actually. No AI for this one. I did try AI to make me a design. It turned out okay, but it was just like it was trying too hard, man. AI was just trying way too hard. Once again, this goes back to the woodsmanship thing. Like too much technology sometimes isn't always a good thing. But those are the partners. Obviously, also OnX. Go check them out. Everyone knows who OnX is. But hopefully you guys are getting dialed in. Hopefully you guys I know July 4th is a time frame when people start switching their minds to whitetails. Now I've done all my scouting, so I don't really have that much to go off on right now. My scouting was done really early in the season, which I'm happy about. Have a good game plan going in. Now it's just a matter of like kind of fine tuning things, getting my stand set up, getting my staying quieted down, all that kind of good stuff. But really hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please give us a rating and review on Apple or Spotify. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us keep growing. Really appreciate you guys listening and all the support. Remember to keep hunting, keep fishing, and always enjoy the freaking process. See ya. I went in there this past weekend, and there's a trail going between all these rocks, like heavy beaten down. There was a big community scrape that was the size of this table. Yeah. And it's leading right down to where I found that shed. And I was like, coming down right here. There's a little seep coming out too, and they're crossing that. They have water right there. Yeah. A few rubs around there. Like this is definitely where it's leading to.
Yeah, I would backtrack to your maybe your leeward ridges or something, see where he's bedding. Because that's really my focus now. I've switched here this year, is getting in them bedding areas and pinning down the beds.
For that, I mean, we're kind of I feel like we're diving into the podcast.
Yeah. And it started.
Oh yeah, everything's been recorded from the very beginning. But like for those bigger bucks, like for him in particular, I feel like he's kind of one of those lone bucks. He doesn't like to, like, I've never really seen him batchered up with anyone. Or run it, and he had never really laid. Like I had one of my trail cameras on video mode and picture mode, and he doesn't really make rubs. Like I feel like he just like kind of like.
Yeah, it's normal. I still now I will find in around their bedding areas, like the prime buck beds that I'm finding, you can just tell. I mean, there's a lot of usually there's a little bit of sign there. I will pick up big droppings, big tracks, and a lot of times these bucks too, there will be some historical sign and some aggressive sign, even some big rubs. You can almost sometimes sit in their bed. Like it all depends. It's all different situational. But a lot of times I can sit in that bed. You can literally see the runways coming into that bed. And a lot of times there will be rub lines coming in and out, historically wise and from last season. You will see it. Not all of them, but a lot of them I do see some sort of sign in around there telling me he's coming in and out of that particular area.
Okay. Yeah. That's one thing. Like I have not found his bed yet. And I feel like where that community scrape was. Yeah, with that seep, there was a bunch of fallen trees there, but yet it's also rocky. But yet, I feel like a buck of his caliber and probably his age, he probably knows that, hey, people don't come in here where these rocks are. So
a good chance he could be a good chance he's in there laying. Yeah. Right. You're on the north face. I mean, a lot of times sometimes I see him on the north face, sometimes I don't. Yeah, like I said, it's all hit and miss. I picked up a really big bed a couple weeks ago when I was with my son, and he would have been a little bit more. He was kind of facing north on there. Maybe maybe more like a northeast. It wasn't straight north, but it was more, kind of like that situation. It wasn't true north, but he was off just a little bit. But I tend to see a little bit more of the north in the summertime because it's a little cooler down there. But talking to some other guys too, if what he has for security is older, he knows it. He may be taking that advantage, and being in there knowing he's protected by like them boulders or something, knowing people aren't going in. Man, I'd be doing my damns to find that bed or two. Yeah. I mean, you get his bed, that's when it can get interesting. Don't push it with cameras. Yeah. Once you find his bed, keep the cameras off of that. 150, 200 yards. Just know he's there. Then you go in and kill him. Go in with just an off wind, go in and early October when you get a set. If there's acorns or whatever's right off that bedding. I mean, the problem with the bedding is you're doing it like you got like a 10, 20% chance. He's going to get this trail. You got to play the wind and thermals a little bit just off of that. And okay, where do you think he's going to leave that bed? He's going to hit the first white oak, red oak. Is it cherries? Is it that scrape? Play that in when you find his bed, and you have a good chance to go and just kill him early and be done with it.
And that's why I ordered a new string for my bow. I ordered I'm getting a new arrow set up. So like, I think I'm pulling like 65, 66 pounds right now. And I need to, right now I'm shooting a 300 spine gold tip arrow. So I'm bumping that up to 350. 350 is what I'm going to bump it up to with 125 grain broadhead. I don't know what broadhead I'm going to use. I was like, I'm not having what happened this past year where my arrow didn't go through the whole way. Mm-hmm. And that, wound a buck and, he goes on, lives on, but he's still wounded. But definitely don't want to do that to this guy. If I get an opportunity.
You just, when the opportunity presents itself, you just tell yourself to wait, pick a spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever little saying you have, you make sure you practice with that all summer, that saying. So when that time comes, that millisecond, I always do it to myself. I always tell myself to wait. That's what I say in my head. When I come down to that pin, I always tell myself to wait. And all that is a split second. All that does, that comes in, I can settle that pin behind that shoulder. That's all that does for me. But that's that split second. Most guys hit them high. That's all of us. We're going to hit them high. So give yourself that millisecond to aim that lower third and then take his heart out. In the worst case, if he drops or wherever, hit a little high, you're taking the lungs out. You got to hunt smart now. Don't be in there every 2-3 weeks checking cameras. Put him in beginning of summer, check him in the summer. Get out. Then he's there. You don't need to check any more cameras. He's there. Go kill him. You know,
that's my plan, to have everything, all my preseason, postseason scouting done by the end of May. Yeah. As long as I get all my intel I need in there by the end of May, I'll start scouting local areas here where I can maybe shoot a doe around me and just do that, because that's I think that's what helped me last year. Was like not going in there so much. Like I found the intel, I put my cameras up, went in there like I think the end of July, and then I just was like, yep, I'm done. I'm done till hunting season. I went in there 2 weeks before season started, checked the cameras quick when it was a rainy day. I got out, knew it was there, and I was like, okay, there's multiple buck in here, and I knew where to go. So, I mean, but that kind of leads into this episode that we're going to be talking about right now.
Now we officially get into the
a lot of that stuff I cannot put in the episode.
No, you got to really, this is going to be one that you really edit down.
Well, just the beginning, right?
The beginning,
so, just got to bleep out something.
Just the whole thing is just bleep.
And we're in the episode.
Ryan, welcome back to the Backcountry Period podcast, man. For all the listeners, I'm Cody.
And I'm Ethan.
And we have Ryan, a.k.a. Moose, on the podcast. This is to kick off one that I think is near and dear to your heart, Moose, or Ryan. That's the first time I ever called you Moose.
Usually I get called Moose, to be honest with you. That's usually what it is outside of here, you know.
It's the first time. Anyway, but woodsmanship is a big thing that you preach. I think from the very first time we had you on, you preached woodsmanship. Yeah. And you even created a business.
Yes.
LLC based around that. So before we get into the whole episode of what this series is going to be about, because you're kicking it off, let the listeners know what this business is.
The name of it is Live for Rut LLC. Basically consulting, private or public. But my foundation is going to be on woodsmanship. Specifically on public land. I will not pick trees. You get in a private situation when I help a guy manage some property, stuff like that. That can help out a little more, kind of like a stand location or give a recommendation. But that doesn't really help anybody picking a tree out, in my opinion. Yeah. What we're lacking in the industry or whatever in the hunting community is the woodsmanship. We're losing it. So the big reason I was kind of skeptical. I love my passion, of course, is chasing whitetails. I was kind of skeptical to take money. You know what I mean? My passion. But then you think about it, it's the American dream. Do what you want to do for, you know what I mean? You think about it, you know what I mean? Your passion, be able to do it for a living. It's not necessarily for a living. It's a little side gig, but it's kind of a way. Yes, I'm getting paid for it, but it's a way to get back to kind of teach guys that are struggling or younger people coming in the woodsmanship of this. Technology is great in certain situations, cameras and new bows and stuff like that, but these mapping apps. But man, for guys just to go into timber and to read the topography and and the habitat and understand the bedding game, what's a good scrape, what's a bad scrape, what's a rub line, what is all this that connect to get you in a situation to pick that tree out? That's my goal, is to take guys basically behind me for the day. You're going to be with me all day. You're going to see how I go about it, how I break down an area to get to a certain location or two to kill a whitetail. That's my end goal. Like I said, it's not to pick a tree out for a guy. It's based when I leave at the end of the day, he feels comfortable going into timber on private or public, that he can go in there and scout and figure it out and start figuring out himself and start building his skill set.
Okay. I mean, the woodsmanship part of things, like you said, I feel like just from talking to you and other guests that we've had on the podcast, I've learned things from that, but listeners have to realize, and I even realize that, is you can listen to all these podcasts you want, but the best way to learn is go out there, boots on the ground. Like the fact that you're taking people with you to show them how you do it is going to help them light years. because
what I see, and I do it now, I've done it actually before I've made the business. I've had some clients now is a lot of guys, it's surprising they just look at the wrong thing, or they see rubs and scrapes and they get excited and like, well, it doesn't mean anything. It's just nighttime activity, or he's not going to show himself probably 90% of the time in the situation. So a lot of it's just, a lot of guys got to, they're already off to a solid start. It's those little details they're not picking up. And that's where I'm real weird with, I guess you can say, is man, the details. Like, I'm getting in the bed. You know what I mean? I'm picking the hair out. I see the shit, and then I can sit in that bed. What does he see? If I'm in what I feel a mature buck bed, I'm analyzing all that. What can he see? How is everything working, topography, terrain, that situation? And you can duplicate that in a lot of stuff. So that helps. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to with it, is just, just like I said, it sometimes irritates me in the industry with the technology stuff out there. Man, we just get further and further away. And I think what the problem is, technology is great. I mean, it can help kill whitetails, absolutely. But I see a lot of guys struggling because they're utilizing so much technology. Well, what happens is people start falling out of the sport. Younger generation or guys that are even into it for a while, and they just drop out. And, with how the world is with the liberal stuff now, I think it's important to try to keep as many people as we can in this and to help guys to stick around, before, we're already outnumbered as it is. We don't need to be any more.
I saw a stat, and I wish I knew the exact numbers, but it was like the people who are older than us, they make up the majority of hunters. Like, it's like 60% or 58% are like in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
And like the next one is like 30s, 25 to like 39 is like 25 or 35%. And it's like that's a big jump. Like, once those people go, then who's going to be making it up after that?
Yeah, I think I seen a study. I don't quote me on the numbers, but it's like 4% of the country hunts.
Yep.
And then it's like you have like 9% are like antis.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the rest of them don't really care either way, but they can be swayed either way if we ever don't watch what we do at times.
Yeah. But the sitting in the bed part, I found a really good bed the other day. Like, it was surrounded by cover, but it had all these rubs going to it, like crazy ripped up rubs going to it. I followed them down, and it was in a little pine thicket, but it was also surrounded by a bunch of rocks. And I was like, I sat in a few beds, but they weren't like this. Like, I sat in there, and I was like, if this guy's bedded down, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this guy's bedded down. No one's going to see him. There's rocks right in front. There's pines behind him that no one's going to see in. Like, this is 100% where a buck would go. And this is where my mind started wandering, was like, this would be where a buck would go if it was rifle pressure. Like, he's getting pressured. And he's going to go right here. The only way someone's going to bump him out of there is literally stepping on him or getting 5 yards from him behind him. And he has 2 escape routes, like one in front of him where there's rocks and he can go through there, or he can squeeze through this other way in front. Like, and that's like an amazing buck bed. And to find those types of buck beds teaches you a lot in the woods of like, this is
when when you find a mature buck's bed. I mean, you just know. Usually they're worn down pretty good. And there's a lot, what I've noticed, there's a lot of, there'll be fresh sign, of course, from the previous season, but I see a lot of historical sign, which that bed has been used for generations. That's what I notice a lot of times too. When I find those, I really pay attention. Of course, they get pinned. And like we were talking off air, everybody knows me as a rut hunter. But be honest with you, the last couple of years, what I've seen in mountains, big woods, I'm starting to actually change my style, my tactics a little bit. I'm kind of getting away. I will still traditionally hunt a funnel when the weather's cooperating. When I'm going to get the cold fronts, like, you're going to catch me between, maybe a ditch crossing or a creek crossing in amongst bedding areas, or, downwind of a doe bedding area. But, it's more or less the bed game I'm starting to weigh to. I killed both my bucks last year in the bedding areas. So that really opened my eyes to where my scouting this year is really focusing on the specific beds and the bedding areas to go in, get tight. And I'm looking and finding still same game, the rut style. I'm always looking for things coming together. What I'm doing is in these bedding areas, I'm breaking them down and finding that weak spot, that bedding area where I can kill him.
So because I know before a few episodes we've had you on, you always harped on, buck bed versus doe bedding. Usually they're pretty much all the same. So
I see, like I can separate the buck bed, and I know what like some beds are in general, and like you'll hear guys like though you'll take guys will put cameras on beds, and you'll see mature buck lamb, then you see a young buck and a doe. I'm sure it's hit and miss everything, but what I notice is I see these what I feel are mature buck beds just by their big beds. There's big tracks, big shit, historical sign, big rubs, whatever. There's just things that play in. And then I kind of see outside of that, I'll see some satellite bedding of younger bucks. I'll find some smaller tracks, some smaller droppings, some smaller sign of aggression or, rubs in general, stuff like that. And then I'll find these little pockets of multiple beds, which those, I will find that structure like a good bedding area for me, a good bedding area. Will be a decent size, have some good habitat around it, probably some type of food source nearby, acorns or something like that or whatever, or maybe a private crop field nearby. But what I notice in these prime bedding areas that I'm focusing on for this style of hunting for me, I can hunt them early or I can kill them in a rut, is I find the kind of the whole community in there. I find mature bucks off the points and these good, like the prime bedding areas. I see these big bucks. That's what they're taking. Then I see that secondary bedding where I'm seeing some immature bucks. I'm seeing some doe pockets here and there. It's there's no really structure. I do tend to see the bucks out front, on these points. They can still have the visual. And then in behind her, I find some other stuff. Like I am not a Dan Infalt or a Jake Bush or something like that. Like I am just learning this game. But last year, after killing 2 bucks, it is a light bulb has come on for me when it comes to the bed game. I'm really starting to change my opinion on a lot of this. It just I'm still learning, you know what I mean? But what I'm seeing is my best bedding areas where I feel I can kill him early in October or kill him in a rut or a pre-rut situation. These prime bedding areas, if I learn to hunt them right, I kill them coming out of there, maybe on oak or maybe a scrape or something like that early. Or I can wait till that pre-rut, catch him coming out to that scrape, or catch him in around there where he's in there cruising or bouncing does where I can kill him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a perfect intro for the woodsmanship because you're never not learning. Like for me, it's like I never want to be at the point where it's like I feel like I know everything. Like I feel once you feel that way, you're going to mess up a lot.
You're never good. We'll never. I told before you'll never master it. You just never. You're always like I said. I've been doing this for 30 some years. I've been on 100 of these damn podcasts. Okay, people think I know what the hell I'm talking about. Well, I'm just sitting here talking about after 30 some years. I'm actually changing my tactics, and I've been successful. And so, what's that tell you? That I was missing something, and a light bulb was going the last couple of years because some ruts have been a little slower. We got some warmer temperatures. I told guys this is my opinion. But what I've noticed, we've had a lot of seasonally warm ruts lately, last 5, 6, 7 years. And it almost seems like the whitetail evolved a little bit around these warmer weathers where that traditional, where we had a lot of cooler weather stuff we got throughout the rut, they were cruising hard, stuff like that. Well, a lot of times it's 50, 60, 70 degrees and, it's muggy. It almost seems like, okay, these bucks have learned over the years where instead of cruising like that, maybe I'll just focus on this bedding area. They're almost holding up to the tighter cover of these does. Instead of cruising, I still see cruisers, but I'm not seeing as much as I used to. And that's why I'm starting to switch my focus and try to cover multiple things between these bedding areas. I'm switching to like maybe a particular bedding area and concentrating on it now because I just like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. That's just me as a woodsman. You constantly got to be reading the season, you got to be reading everything and adjust it as you go.
Yeah. And I find it amazing how much someone can learn when you have a second set of eyes physically with you. Like Howie came up to the cabin with me a couple weeks ago to work, do some habitat work on the property. And he's like, hey, I want to go check out this spot on your property. Like we just want to walk around, see, what's going on. And we went down and he's pointing out things and it's my own property.
Yeah.
And he's pointing out things that I never even thought about or even paid attention to. Like, he's like, oh, there's 2 white oaks right there. I'm like, no, granted, this is like kind of like the border between our property and like the neighbors. So I'm like, I kind of stayed away from it. But I was like, he's like, oh yeah, there's 2 white oaks there. Like, oh, there's 2 red oaks over there. And I was like, how many years have we had this property? And I just don't, it's just not even really paying attention to something like this. So it's nice to you can learn so much listening to the podcast and then even like going out in the woods, putting boots on the ground, you can learn so much, but then to physically have someone with you to look at things in a different perspective, it's like, system, overload here, information, but it can, as long as it's a lot to take in. It's a lot. But if you can just take chunks of it and break it down little by little, that's going to help you so much more in the long run, more than just, because I guess a lot of people think like, okay, I'm going to take all this information that I got, listen to all these podcasts, do all this stuff, and then this season I'm going to go out and kill a massive buck.
That was literally me the first couple of years of starting this podcast.
But it's like, no, you gotta
beat real quick. Yeah, it doesn't work.
You got to take all that information, apply it little by little. And you might get lucky your first year you go out, you might. But if you don't, you got to go year by year by year and keep applying it to the point that you can get to that point where you're like, oh shit, I just had an encounter with a 150-inch class buck, and I never would have thought about that if I didn't listen to all these people and apply that knowledge to my area.
Yeah, you got to find out, like I tell guys, some guys are bed hunters, rut hunters, early season box blinders. You got to find out what works in your situation. And, I always tell guys, I think a lot of times my transition now too is we're always learning, but I always tell guys instead of trying to do 10 different things, focus on one thing, get good at one thing, get good at it, then start to transition off that. It's going to make a lot more sense for you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what I think everyone tries to do, tries to focus on one thing, but yet also you find yourself sometimes going down another, oh, maybe I could do this, for beds. I found multiple beds, oh, well, maybe I can hunt these beds. And I'm no, I feel like I'm more like a scrape and hunter right now and transition area type. I'm not to the bed part yet. I'm still trying to learn the wind and thermals. I got it, the gist of it. I'm still trying to learn that, still trying to learn trees. There's a lot I have to learn yet. And that's, and I want to learn that stuff, right? I want to keep learning that, because if I don't, if I just stop and stay stagnant, it's what's the point of doing this then?
Honestly. I mean, you're always like me, even now with my business, I'm going to be taking courses for land management. I want to expand on that, where I can go in and not only scout the guy and teach him, but I can set his property up too. You're always learning and expanding on all this, just at the end of the day, you're just going to be a better, like we said, woodsman, at the end of the day.
Yeah. So the Woodsmanship Series, and I want you to add something to this if you think we need to add something to this. But I think we have a good lineup of things going on. Right now, you're pretty much the kickoff for this. Right now. So we're going to be talking woodsmanship. We're going to be talking to what it means, all that kind of stuff. But so we have a lineup, the mentality and patience of a woodsman with Nick Queen. So we have that one coming out. We have Greg Kosminski, Reading the Land. Then Kyle Allen, Finding Deer Without Technology, which is, I think, a big one.
That's awesome.
And then we have Austin Stone covering wind and thermals. So we have all that lined up.
Awesome. That's a great lineup.
Is there anything else that we need to add to that? Do you think that or maybe we can talk about in this one?
I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, you're covering a lot of great things there. I really like the idea of finding deer without technology. Because we all get tired of them. That's kind of, what I've noticed myself even this year. I mean, it's hard not to use a mapping app, at least, because I like to drop my pin, stuff like that. But I've learned to, I'm just this year, I'm pretty known to getting dirty, getting in, getting bloody, and getting dirty, getting in with a situation again too. And I'm taking a whole nother level this year. I mean, like I told you, I am getting in their bedroom. I'm violating them. I mean, that's how I'm taking it. That's what I said. You're kind of, getting on deer without the technology part. You're just putting the boots on the ground, and that's really on a micro level, getting in and really pin down these beds and stuff like that. But I really like that idea of finding deer without technology. To me, that's, if you're going to ask me what woodsmanship is, I guess it's the idea of the process or whatever to harvest a whitetail with the least amount of technology. End of the day, I think that's what true woodsmanship is. It's hard not to. We have new bows. The mapping apps are great, but we can get down the rabbit hole with some other technology, drones, cell cam, stuff like that. There's a lot of things in there, but I think in a day, a woodsman, the less he uses, the better you become a woodsman, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't want the listeners to think like, oh, we're completely against technology. Like there's,
no,
we're not.
I use it every day. I mean, I use whatever Smart Forge on X every time out in the woods. Pretty much simple fact is I like to look at my maps. I get an area. If I find buck bedding or a bedding area or whatever rut situation, sometimes I like to look at it on a map and figure that out on a macro level, and then it makes sense on a micro level. And I like to drop my pins for my cameras or my scrapes and my tree stands. That's an advantage. We all have brand new bows. Yes, there's an advantage to it. We always have nice binoculars and a rangefinder. Like, yes, technology, but the problem is when you rely on the technology, you rely on an app to tell you what days to hunt.
Right.
You rely on that cell camera to tell you what day to hunt. That's going to get you in trouble.
Absolutely. I've used this multiple times in multiple, but I went out in the pouring rain and was able to shoot a buck.
Yes.
Like I went out on that. So like you can't rely on an app to tell you when to go. Cause I was there, Brian. I was there when we first, I had the HuntWise app and I was like looking at like, oh, is it 4 deer, 5 deer, 3 deer? What's the movement today? My dad would always make fun of me, right? Because I was like, oh, it's a 4 deer day where there should be moving quite a bit, but that only matters if you're in the right area, and you use your woodsmanship to find that area.
There's only one thing that's not going to tell me. There's only one thing that's going to tell me whether I can go hunting or not hunting. That's my wife. If I'm in trouble for something, and even that, she never tells me not to go. But if I'm in the doghouse or something, we get it, boys. You know what I mean? Other than that, nothing is telling me when or what I can or cannot hunt. That comes on to where your instincts kick into play in a situation. Hey, I'm getting older. I've killed my fair share of whitetails. If I wake up, I don't care if it's the rut, it's pouring down rain. You know what? My lazy ass might just say the hell of it because I've done my share of hunting and I've killed a few whitetails. I'm getting to the age where, you know what I mean? I'm getting a little soft, It is what it is. I'm not ashamed to say anymore. I'm not saying I'm a fair weather hunter because I'm out there grinding the shit, but some days when it's 50 degrees, it's pouring down rain, you're like, I'm gonna sleep in a little bit and I'll go out in the afternoon now.
That must be like it has to be a dad thing then, because I say that to my dad. I said, Dad, you're getting soft in your old age. I got now. Granted, he's in his 60s, but like he's a little older. But I still give him crap.
I did many. You know what it is? I'm 48, 34 years hunting. I've countless days I've sat in the pouring rain, like a hard rain. And I tell you what, I've done it dozens of times, and I could probably count on 1 or 2 hands how many deer I saw. So I said, "Fuck this! I ain't doing this anymore."
See, I don't think I could sit in the pouring rain. Like I don't think I could. Like, I definitely I don't think I could. Like I think I did it once during archery, and it was like because I knew like the rain was ending shortly after that. But it was like I don't think I could sit like.
I've done it. It's miserable, and it's like I really don't see nothing. I mean, don't say it happens. There's guys that are listening now. I killed his. It happens, but my odds aren't real good. I'm like, just what? I know when I kill him, I'm just gonna wait till then.
I think it's like it's interesting how like everyone has different opinions about like hunting during this weather versus this weather, like hunting during a hurricane or a blizzard or whatever. Like it's like when you have a good situation during those moments, you're going to want to hunt that more often. And that exactly connects back to woodsmanship. And then woodsmanship, I think, is trusting your gut and like relying on it.
It's a lot of instincts. Yeah.
Because if you think back, like we're all ancestors of people who literally had to hunt to survive. So like it's all inside of us. Just you have to try and find that. Yeah. Right. Like that's to trust your gut takes a long time to be able to
it takes years of experience with a lot of this. You know what I mean? I mean, I told guys, you're always a student in the game. I screw up. Like I said, I get on these podcasts and all this bullshit, and I screw up 100 times. My whitetails, they usually whoop my ass. You know what I mean? We just gotta get lucky once. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's what it all comes down to. We just get lucky occasionally with them because they're smart critters. They
are very smart. I found that I heard one thing on another podcast, and there we go. I learned things from a podcast.
But they are useful.
They are useful in some ways. But like I heard them say something about like they know where the access point is, they know where all these people are coming from. Yeah. And with some of my trail cameras there, we also, if you use technology, and I think if you listen to podcasts in the correct way and don't like abuse them, with like trying to hunt them pretty much. Like you don't hunt the pictures you have. Like, oh, I got a picture, I'm going to hunt there now. Like it was already there. So don't do that. But to run them, like I've started doing it the long game where I just get intel from them, all season intel.
Yeah.
I can see these deer looking at like the access point and then hitting the scrape. Like they stare at the access point, and then I see them start hitting the scrape. I'm like, they are freaking smart. Like they are extremely smart.
I picked up some good sheds this year and in the beds, and once you pick it up and the shed's laying in the bed and you really, okay, he's laying here and you sit back here. It's like, how many access trails, hiking trails, gravel roads, parking lots, like you think the pressure would really push them out of these areas? As long as the cover's got to be there. They got some terrain, maybe they got to have some stuff going on there. It's not open timber. I don't see it. But if there's structure there, some diversity, man, them some bitches like to watch us. Man, do I see it, And like I said, a lot of my prime buck beds, what I see is, they're that typical, I see a lot of the typical, I find them in the bottoms where it depends a lot of times where the pressure's at, where the cover is. But your typical, what you hear, that upper third off his little points, I'll find a lot of good beds like that. Man, they got that visual. They're just, if you try to come up from the bottom, they know the game, and how many times I see them just off of, like I've picked up a couple of sheds this year. I'm literally like 60, 70 yards off a gravel road, and this bed is worn down in the dirt. And you can tell there's rubs around, so it's been used through the rut. He's in there winter or two eating acorns, but there's a gravel road right there. Cars driving up and down all the time. He's just laying there, and he just has that visual. He's got cover to his back. It's really crazy when you see where they're at and what they actually put up with. And then, like I said, it just gets back to the woodsman spot where you just got to put the boots on the ground. That's I said about the technology is great, but you're not going to learn anything until you get out there and you get dirty. You're not going to learn anything. And that's why you build woodsmanship.
Yeah, putting the boots on the ground is 100% the way to do it. Because so when we first started the podcast, my thing was I always sat in the same spot to hunt. That was just what I did, right? But then I always thought you had to sit, like you just pick a spot out and you sit there and you just hope someone comes by. But once I started putting boots to the ground and exploring and like finding, like seeing what we're talking about in the podcast is like, wow, now then you can start putting it all together. Like the point, the bedding on the point, I found my first bed on a point. I thought every point had a deer. I thought every point had a buck on it. That's not true. Everyone who's listens, like, but I found one on a point and I was like you just said, like I sit there and I look down. I'm like, he has everything. He can see the access right here. It's insane.
Yeah. When guys get out there, I stress the guys, like when you find it, I don't care if it's mature buck bed or immature or doe bedding or whatever, bedding in general, take your time when you get in there and think about what's going on. That will really accelerate your learning curve when you start putting that together. Understand where the oaks are at. Understand where the brow is at. Understand where that cherry tree is going to drop early. Like, start putting that all together, where the crop fields are in the distance and private property. Start putting that all together in this situation, man. You really can accelerate your learning curve and understand what the whitetails do day to day.
Yeah, and look at those small details, like you said too. Like I've been finding, like there's not many briars in the area, but when I come across them, especially on a big trail, they're always nibbled down. They're always nibbled down.
Yeah, I noticed myself looking at that a lot more, like the browse. Even just walking through if we're just taking a walk on the property, I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that was eaten. That was eaten. Like I notice it more now. And I'm like, okay, they are eating this. What is this plant? What are they eating? Because some of the stuff I still don't know. I mean, clearly I didn't know it was a freaking white oak on the edge of the property, not paying attention to it because I was like, oh, I don't go over there. But it's like, right there. But speaking of slowing down and really paying attention, you're taking your son out now scouting. Have you had to slow down a lot, or you just like you said earlier, like, man, I'm going in still?
I took him out. I took him out a couple weeks ago, and I told him, I said, boy, we're getting dirty. I said, we went in it. I went into a ridge system, and we ended up picking up two really, really big mature buck beds. Got some other immature bucks, satellite bedding, does and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool. My oldest boy, he don't say a whole much. Now, my youngest boy, he don't shut the frick up. But my oldest boy, he's pretty laid back. He'll be 16 next month. And he wanted to start learning. So I took him out here a couple weeks ago. We got in the bedding area, we're in some briars and stuff. Wasn't horrible, but it was, cutting up a little bit. And at first, I wasn't really finding what I wanted to find, And then we got some good stuff. And I was like, so what do you think? You know what I mean? Because he don't say a whole lot. I said, you bored or you ready to go home? He said, no. He said, but it was cool to see. He said he understood. He could see my body language just watching me and following me, how I was like, just not. Then when I found it, he said, man, I can tell your excitement, and he was just picking up on little details. But like I said, he had some questions for me, and I said, I was like, end of the day, I was like, you want to come back? And he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I wasn't sure, drag him through a clear cut, how he's going to take it. But it's a cool experience. I noticed myself, like, I at first, it was, even though he's my son, it was a little, my scouting, I'm used to doing it by myself, other unless I have a client or something. So it was a little awkward at first, even with my son, because I was like, man, I'm going to drag you through a clear cut here, kid. You know what I mean? So I noticed myself maybe at first even not focused as much as I usually do. And then once we got in the flow of things and he started understanding the concept, and it went pretty well after that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Like, because my daughter's only 2, and I took her out in the woods couple times, but I'm taking her out to go back in a little bit to hopefully find another shed. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not to the same point as you, obviously. Like, I'm not going to take her through a clear cut because she's only 2.
I'm an asshole. I told the boy, I don't care.
Oh, no. If she was 16, she's coming through the clear cut too, right?
Yeah.
There was so many times I'd watch your story and like you'd be talking to one, like, it's like, oh, I found, going through what you're finding. And then literally the next story, I see blood on your face.
Yeah.
Like,
my wife will just like, you're bleeding again. And say, yeah, doesn't even faze me anymore. You're getting those cuts. It takes you, it is, you're getting them cuts. It takes like one briar to the face. It was probably over a month ago, man. I was cut up pretty bad. My wife said, what the hell happened to you? On my story just said, I forget what I was doing. I was going over it was still some snow or something like that. And you get caught up and stuff. And it literally face first in a briar patch. I was like, I did the story like, holy shit. Like a bobcat up here, Yeah, that's pretty, I got to tell guys, when you're into good whitetail habitat, when you go home and good Lord, it burns when you're in the shower.
Yes.
You're all cut up, shins and arms, everything else, you're in some good stuff,
Well, this past weekend I went out and I obviously started filming like pretty much everything I do just to make a story at the end of the season. But I was filming and luckily the GoPro was going and I'm going down a rock face and like I automatically I'm talking to it and all of a sudden I just go straight down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It happens all the time, man. Yeah. I mean, all the time. Yep.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, my shin hurt after that one. It's actually still hurts. I just touched it. But yeah, so I mean, I feel like you got to do that though, like to get woodsmanship to build, know where the deer are. Pretty much, you have to get in there. You have to get in thick and nasty to get in there.
Yeah, but I just what I've learned over the years is just, that's like I said, security covering a form of terrain also, but that's where you're in like boulders and steep, nasty shit along ridge, a creek bottom or something, ridged up and dumping down deep in a river bottom or something. Like, man, like I said, the steep terrain. The thick, nasty. Worst thing I hate, and I hate go to Lord, I hate is mountain laurel. That's the thing. That is evil. I will go through a clear cut. I do not care briars. I'll figure it out. I despise mountain laurel, and I tell myself every year I'm not going in it. And for some dumb reason, I find myself in it. But yeah, you got to get in it. You know what I mean? To really, what I think the key is, what reason I do it is, I've changed, like, you guys know I've been doing this for a long time. I post my stories up there. Everybody's followed me how I do it. I kind of look at it a little bit different than my scouting. We're always on that outside, that edge, that transition. I tell guys, that's the best thing for a newbie. I've been doing this for a while. I'm not calling myself an expert, but I've been doing this for a long time. I've noticed now I'm not really paying attention to anything until I'm kind of the start of my days in the middle of the shit. Like I'm going into it, and what I'm doing is like a spoke for a wheel. I'm getting into it, finding the beds, and then I'm working my way out of that. So I'm starting in it, finding the beds, everything else. Then I start to work. Instead of working outside in, I'm actually working inside out, if that makes sense. I'm picking the beds, I'm finding, I'm pinning, I'm walking all that bedding area if I can. I did that this last weekend. really got in there, broke that bedding area down, then I could start piecing together, okay, if I hang 2 or 3 trail cams outside is 150, 200 yards where I'm not going to disturb none, I'm going to get my summer intel and let me know what's in here. And then I start figuring out also, okay, I got good intel here. I can get some historical data in situations, okay, with this setup outside these bedding areas. But then I start to play in, how are they coming in or coming out of here?
Right.
Can I get in the bedding area and be aggressive in a situation to kill them, or just that outside edge or just outside of that bedding area situation? Like, so that's what I'm doing. I'm getting in there. Okay, they live here. I'm in their home. I'm not in their home. I'm in their beds.
Right.
Okay. And then, okay, how do I get you to kill you coming out that front door of your house? That's where I'm going right now. Or I'm in their kitchen killing them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really aggressive or just outside of it. And am I going to blow up some deer? You're damn right I'm going to do. But I'm telling you right now, I feel pretty damn confident come this season. I'm going to put an arrow through something pretty good.
Now, you said, and you might not know the answer to this yet, but I'm with the summer inventory.
Yeah.
You find still with bucks and velvet, you find them still going in that thick laurel, even though, or is that just maybe me just thinking like a myth with
the laurel, like when I get into clear cuts, they're in there. Like they don't always penetrate. It depends on the cut, the age of the cut, stuff like that. Like that cut I was in, I couldn't tell how many years, but I could walk through it. There was briars and shit, but there's a lot of pulled timber starting. I can walk through it, but it was still fairly good structure to it. The mountain laurel, what I noticed, like I said, cuts can hit. A lot of times they'll be on the edges or stuff like that. But the mountain laurel, what I see is like, you know how you get through the mountain laurel, it's like you don't want to go through it.
Yep.
But then you know how it opens up in little pockets of that microhabitat a little bit where you can walk through it. That's where I notice a lot of times, depending on topography, I'll see them bedding in almost on the edges.
Okay.
I think just my opinion, when you get that heavy gun pressure, they're going to get in there and get out of it, because I think it's hard for them to get through sometimes too, a lot of times. You know what I mean? But you always have there's open pockets, a little bit different habitat there mixing together. To where I've noticed I'll hang some cameras in those areas and I get some really good intel of big bucks and that, even in general, just moving transition through those areas. But I still see a lot of the edge game with that mountain laurel. Now there could be an open pocket in the middle, they force away, I don't know. Every situation is different, but what I notice is it's kind of on that edge a little bit where I'm catching them,
because that's exactly what we found. What was that? Was that February, January? You were out scouting. We found that scrape, literally that big scrape outside of thick laurel.
Yeah.
And then there was a trail, like the laurel on the outskirts of it before you get really on the open timber was not as big as the one laurel, like the more mature laurel. But there was a heavy trail going through there. I
still notice, like in situations like that, it's still like a topography based bedding. That laurel's off maybe off a ridge point or something. He's going to be maybe in a little bit more open area or something like that. Or say there's some structure there with some blowdowns. A lot. It's just situational. It depends. If it's that, what I see is that big sea of mountain laurel, like it's just endless. That's really where I don't necessarily see him in it so much. I mean, occasionally you'll see a trail or something, but that's just a shit show in there. That's where I see him more concentrated on the edges of it.
Yeah, that's
like up in the cabin.
Well, no, even like wherever we went through.
We were. Yeah,
I forgot my cameras were.
This dickhead drag us through the mountain laurel. He's like, I don't know where my cameras are, and he's like, we're gonna go in here, and we're just smacking in the face with freaking mountain.
Yep. It was great time.
That shit's horrible, man. I hate it. Like, also, because what'll happen is I find that soft edge of the mountain laurel where a lot of sign, a lot of rut sign, a lot of draw. It's like, this is looking good. I can hunt this, and before I know it, I'm walking a path, and that path's getting deeper and deeper in this shit. And before we it's like, oh, now we're in it. And it's like you look on your map, like I can see the color. You can see that color shade of it where it's going to end. And it's like, well, it's quicker for me to go this way, but I got to go through it, and it's always a bad decision. Always.
Yep. I want to do this because I think everyone talks about the success, the woodsmanship, the positives, all that kind of stuff. Now, with those positives comes negatives, right? Like, I want to hear some failures that you've had to gain your woodsmanship. So, like, for each topic, like the mentality side, I think that's going to be kind of hard to talk about failure and all that kind of stuff. But was there a time when you were mentally just out of it because the season was rough and you felt like you were chasing your tail that you failed?
We can go back to this previous season. I killed 2 solid bucks, killed a pile of doe, but it started off hot, and then like I'm known as a rut hunter, and the rut come rolling in, and I just seemed like I couldn't make the right decision. A lot of it I was dealing with hunting pressure and stuff like that, and I let that dictate where I was going to hunt. You know what I mean? It kind of pushed me out of the area, and I should have just said screw it and went in there, because the bucks didn't, like I said, they didn't move out of their core area. That was a hard lesson to learn there. Especially when I had some pretty good deer, I kind of sat too far back. I think that's what the biggest thing I talk about, and this biggest disappointment and failure I did this year was, I hunt, and I almost like I wasn't having any fun. I just kept making the wrong decisions, and then like sitting back now, looking at it's like, man, I rather have, I take 3-4 weeks off. I think I'd rather have put the gas pedal down for 3, 4, maybe 5 days, in like pushed and got aggressive where I need to be, and then maybe backed off a day. You know what I mean? And then went somewhere else. What do you know what I mean? Instead of, I was kind of just doop-de-doo, half throttle, hunting the edges. I was too far off the cover. I was hunting funnels.
Right.
Yes, something come through, but it was all immature deer I was finding, or does. That's exactly what I was finding. And the few bucks I did see, mature bucks, they were all doing the same thing along that, in that cover, pretty much. Some would break it, chasing a doe or something like that, but everything was cover based. And I'm like, and I started thinking back over the years too. It's like the mistakes I've made. And the best, this is a big woods. Farm country is different. Farm country, not it's wrong. It's just easier to get on them. The big woods, you could be in the game, but you can be out of the game. You're in the game, you see them, but you're not in bow range. Guns a little different, but I think that's what the big mistake I made over the last couple of years is probably not being aggressive. That's why I'm changing my mindset here. And like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, learning from my mistakes even last year, to where I need to be more aggressive in situations. I sit back in the rut and I'm thinking, if I put my time in here 5, 6, 7 days in this area, he's going to come by eventually. Well, they're not coming by eventually. That's what's happened to me lately. Okay. So I got to change. Does that situation work? I told guys, if I get the right conditions, you got a cold front coming in, high pressure, whatever, next 3, 4, 5 days, you're probably going to see me in a rut, or the traditional rut setup. But like I said, the mistakes I've made over the last couple of years is we're talking about woodsmanship. All that scouting over the years put me in a situation where I figured I'd be successful majority of the time. Well, it's not working. You know what I mean? It's not working like it used to. Let's say that. So I've got to change it. And actually, that's just from last year. You go 3 weeks in a rut, your balls kicked in. You take a step back. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I still get my ass kicked. That's why I think you always got to be open-minded with this. You know what I mean? If it's not working, you got to change it. And I think that's something I've learned over the years. Like, so we're talking about woodsmanship here. I've just learned you gotta adapt to the situation at hand.
I imagine that's like mentally wise, that's hard to do. I imagine it's easier said than done with how you hunt, right? It's like, you've been hunting this one way for a long time, and now
it's been successful.
Now
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Now you got to almost recalibrate your brain and be like, okay, now I got to be more aggressive than what I already felt like I was already.
Yeah, it was like you're like like I said, these podcasts and stuff. You're talking it. You're not walking it. That's why I'm sitting in a tree stand. I'm like, and I look back at the season. It's like, I know what I did wrong. I know exactly what I did wrong. Like I said, I let some pressure and some outside influences affect me. You can't let that happen. You got to hunt your own hunt. And I think that aggressive mindset, like me, my aggressive mindset, it can be different. Okay. My aggressive mindset is I am going to get aggressive to a particular bedding area, and I'm going to beat the F out of it until I kill. If I don't, I'm going to move on to the next one. If that makes sense. I'm going to give it 3, 4 days. I'm going to hammer it. You know what I mean? I'm going to hunt smart. You know what I mean? The wind and thermals, my access best I can, but I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going in every hunt to kill. If it doesn't work, if I blow it up, I'm going to the next one. Trust me, I got multiple bedding areas right now I've been breaking down as postseason. That's just things there you learn over time. Like I said, you're always evolving with this.
Yeah. Yeah. What about what was the next one? The reading the land. Like, is there any failures you had where it's like, okay, you relied too much on, okay, this terrain feature worked in this area, so it automatically has to work in this area?
Yeah, I've got caught where, like, guys have seen me, heard me on a podcast. I like to hunt multiple things coming to one location, which is dynamite in a rut. I've been absolutely, I mean, I'll put money on the table when it comes to like that. You get into like a farm country, hill country mix. I'm used to river bottoms. I'm going to kill. You know, what I notice in this more bigger wood situations, I get in these situations. What I'm doing is I'm trying to cover too much in a terrain situation. That's what has bit me in the last couple of years. Yes, I've still been successful. Guys are like, well, you're still killing deer. Yeah, but I'm really hammering down 15, 20 days, to get that done. You know what I mean? I'm almost kind of spinning my wheels a little bit. So I've gotten into a trap where the terrain, the habitat, it's all there. Okay. But what I'm doing is I'm reading it wrong because I'm trying to cover, like I said, sometimes as bow hunters, we can shoot 40 yards. Yep. Well, what happens is I think sometimes we think we can shoot 40 yards. We think, oh, this is a great tree. We pick a tree out like, well, I can shoot 40 yards here. Well, that one over there, I can only shoot 15 yards. Well, that's the one he's going to come by and kill. To kill him. That's what I've learned too, is trying to get a little more aggressive, tight to that cover. That's probably been a big mistake when it comes to the terrain habitat stuff, is where I'm trying to cut everything coming together in the right spot. It's great, and it has to be the right situation. That's what I'm taking in my postseason scouting here. If you start looking at that big picture and you're trying to cover too much, you're going to watch them walk by.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree with the whole tree thing and setting up, like trying. You got to for me personally, I had to try and take my mind out of a rifle hunter's mentality and be like, okay, I'm a bow hunter.
Yeah.
I got to get closer. I don't want to see everywhere. Cause like, yeah, you may see a deer way off, but it's like, you're not gonna be able to shoot him. You're not gonna be able to.
I've actually took the mindset. Like I said, I want to start transitioning over the years, traditional hunting eventually, a little bit. That's something I've really kept in my mind this year, really focused was but like say I'm taking a trad bow out. I'm not taking a compound. And that's what I've really been focusing on, to be honest, this year when I get in these situations. Can I kill him at 15 or 20 yards, preferably 15? I tell you what, that's what I'm really concentrating on my scouting this year. And that is what has tightened up. Like I said, I got multiple things coming still to the location when I preach about, but it's a different ball game now. He's 10, 15 yards, and this is coming together in a situation. That's how I'm looking at it now. That's been really my mindset this year is, okay, we don't have a compound shoot 40 yards. We got a stick bow. We're about 15, 20, that has made a big difference when I'm picking a tree out this year.
Yeah. I think that's one thing I focused on this past season was like, okay, if I pick this tree out, I like, now granted, when you're 12 feet up to ground level, it looks obviously very different, but I'm standing there at the base of the tree and I do a 360. I'm like, okay, I think I have 30, 35 yards the whole way around max that I can shoot. This is going to be the tree that I get in. Cause like, I don't even, part of me is like, yeah, like maybe like I want to see a deer 150 yards away that I know like, okay, I'm in the wrong tree. I can make a move. Right. But that part of me is like, I don't even want to see it if it's not in range. Like, I'm like, I just want to not even know it was there.
I actually think a good mindset is where you pick the tree out and, we all want to see 30, 40 yards around us. Well, maybe you only need to see 15 yards there and 20 yards there. You don't need to see the whole way around you. You might, he might go downwindy or whatever, and you don't get a shot at 25 yards. But man, you're in the game in that stuff. That's just what I'm seeing,
What about wind and thermals? What was a failure from wind and thermals that you had that you were like, okay, I really got to hone in on this a little bit more?
Well, I think that's about every day in the mountains, I think. Squirrels like a mother.
Yep.
I know there's a bit. I will tell you a story. Guys followed me, knew I was chasing that big 6x5. I can't really say I was chasing because I didn't really, that's where the pressure came in. Because he got known about guys were in there, I kind of backed off him. But I had a very eye-opening moment with him with the wind and thermals. I saw him, I believe, twice. I know one time for sure, the ridge system I was hunting. He come out of Mount Laurel chasing a doe. What I was doing, there was a ravine in front of me, a big hollow. Okay. They would come up and down and around it. So I ended up, a week or two went by, things weren't working out. The pressure wasn't there one day. It was like a mid-morning thing. So I went in. I believe I went in there. I saw some doe. I heard what I believe was a mature buck in there, just the way it sounded, chasing some doe. I was like, good Lord, tell me something. I'm coming back in here. Left my set there. Got in the morning, see some more deer. Well, what I believe was him, I saw again, same general area where I saw him. I was just on a different part of the ridge. I was like, I need to move over there. So I move over there. And the wind was hitting me. The ravine was in front of me. The wind's hit me in the face, which I'm thinking they're coming to, we're going to work top of that ravine, stuff like that. Everything's kind of out in front of me. And I'm thinking everything's pretty good. I mean, it's the mountains, the wind swirls, and everything's going behind me, So anyway, I seen one more mature buck that day. And I kept seeing one particular area. Well, then I sat for 4 days. I didn't see shit. I was like, what the hell? And I've seen like 3 mature bucks in this one location. I figured if I put 4 or 5 days in here, I'm going to kill one. They've been right here. You know what I mean? So fast forward, go post season scouting. I was like, I'm going to circle the backside of this ridge. Well, I get where my wind and thermals were dumping down. There was another big hollow behind me, big Mount Laurel thicket behind me. And I worked out of the ridge system now where I could literally sit on that point, cross that hollow, and that's where the Mount Laurel patch was. And I was just right on the side. So basically all my wind was coming down that Mount Laurel, heading down to that hollow, and probably coming up swirling. And they would, it was another 300 yards away. But how the wind and thermals worked in there, I found that big 6x5 shed from the year prior. It was sitting there. And I was like, found his bed. I'm thinking, that son of a bitch knew every time I was in that tree. By how the wind, the wind I thought was good for me because how they were working it. I thought he was coming over here and where I'm hunting to kill him here. Here, he was behind me the whole damn time where he was bedding. He knew every damn day I was in there. And whatever deer, and that ridge was, when I got in there, it was so tore up with sign. I mean, it was like where I needed to be to kill him. The deer shit, the doe beds, there was so much bedding in that area. All those deer in that system, when I sat that tree, wonder why I didn't see nothing. That's 300-400 yards away, say, at least. Knew that wind would go down in that hollow, the thermals, everything in play. Those damn deer knew I was in that stand every freaking day. And I was like, just that little bit of scouting. Now I will have it hunted different this year, of course. I'll be in the right situation. But that just goes to show you the mistakes you can make on a macro level. That wasn't really I'm thinking on a micro level, I'm pretty good. They're coming out of the hollow. That was on a macro level where those deer were spending the majority of their time coming to me. They were getting me. It was really eye-opening to realize where you got to pay attention where that wind and thermal's going a distance from you also if you can, Yeah,
no, that's a very good point because like I don't think people obviously think about that, but like I don't think I'm thinking about that too much. Like of where my wind's going, like would my wind hit another bedding area?
Yeah, that's affecting your hunt for that day. Yeah, yeah. And for me, it was. Like you said, it was. I'm just throwing a number at 300-400 yards at least.
Yeah.
But I just read it like, first of all, there's a Mountain Laurel thicket behind me. I'm like, well, they're in there, you dumbass, along a ridge system, traveling. And then that hollow just went up. I'm thinking, my wind gets in that hollow, it's going right in there. Between the thermals and the wind, I know it's swirling. That's why they're bedding in there. They have an advantage. I'm thinking, it just like that was like. That I wasted 4 or 5 hunts, whatever was in there. I wasted, you know what I mean? Something could have come out of that hollow and stuff like it. Yes, absolutely. But where I saw the majority of the deer in the postseason was like, it made sense why I was getting nailed. Wasn't seeing nothing.
Yeah, that's definitely. But we all need like those 3 learning experiences. We all need. Now, this one here is going to be. I think all of us have mistakes with this technology.
Yeah,
like the big failure with technology. Yes. So we can do a round table of technology.
Yeah.
But like,
guilty.
What's like the biggest failure? Because I know before you said that you were relying too much on like your camera data and your cell cam data. Like, so walk us through that failure that helped you now.
Well, I tell you what, like we've talked before, I'm not running more cell cams. If you run them, you do you. Just my personal experience, I think they're a crutch. I started running cell cams probably 3-4 years ago. Since I started running trail cameras, I noticed I wasn't as successful getting on mature bucks. I started putting 2 together because even this previous year, I told myself, I'm probably on a podcast somewhere, I'm not relying on them. I will not, they're just for, inventory purposes or gain some historical data. They're great because if they won't get stolen and stuff like that, you won't lose that data. And I preach that. I like that idea of them, or for the security part of it. You can put a camera somewhere, it's probably not going to get stolen. A good chance of being itself. So it was nice putting location, not going to lose that data. It's real-time data. But man, you're sitting there, you're struggling. Maybe you're making some bad choices, but you're struggling. But instead of like, starting to get more aggressive, pushing bedding areas or something like that, we all get the pictures at 10 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you start playing that in your head. or it's a daylight picture of buck cruising. Before you know, you're on that ridge system hunting for 3-4 days, and he was just cruising through, or just an oddball maybe, and you just start chasing those damn cameras. And that's what I know, especially the first couple of years. Be honest, when cell cams, when I decided to get them, I was like, this isn't going to be fair. This is not going to be fair. You know what I mean? I'm a leg up on now. Wolf, I'm 3 steps back, man. I just feel, unless you're on some, managed private property where, you do guys will put them on bait and stuff like that. I get it, or food plots. It makes it easy, slip in and kill them. You know what I mean? But you do you. I don't care. You know what I mean? But for a public land guy or a guy that's on private, man, I think they just hurt us bad. I really do, And, I like them in situations. Maybe, hey, I'm, an out of state that's 8 hours away. Yeah, I can see the perks of them. You know what I mean? But around home or anywhere I get to tri-state here, I just will not run them anymore. I just won't. They just burned me too many times.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Ethan, you want to go now?
Cameras. That's the biggest. I had a couple years where I was chasing pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we've probably talked about it 100 times on this podcast, but it's like I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've chased pictures, and now it's like finally, learning. I hope so. But it's like I set up cameras in November this past year. Finally I checked them in March, got some pictures. I was like, okay, I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I don't even think I can hunt this area. There's no trees to get in, I couldn't even hunt the ground. It'd be too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I know the deer travel through here. I'm not going to hunt these cameras. I'm going to expand. I might go a couple 100 yards this way and this way and this way, find where they're heading, and be like, all right, here's the sign, and I'll hunt over that instead.
Mm-hmm.
But the camera, like, I've started using cameras more of, okay, there's deer in this area.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Like, there's deer here. Yeah. Now I just got to find out where they're leaving sign and hunt around that instead of the camera itself.
Yep. Yeah. It definitely took. I'm the same. I think it's all general, like cameras. Like it's
damn cameras.
Like it's when I first got them, I was like, okay, this is going to help me kill a deer.
Mm-hmm.
This is 100% going to help me. But now I got to the point where it's like I want to just use them as historical data now. It's like I want to see what's in the area and just go off that. Like,
give me my summer inventory.
Yeah,
I'll let them soak, get some historical data. And you honestly I think it might be a little crazy saying this, but say you're going to hunt a particular buck, you're hunting a buck or two. You got some on, he's big. And man, you're getting cell pictures of them. You're getting cell pictures of them. You're getting them. Well, here comes the opportunity. You almost, I think they can amp you up a little too much too.
Mm-hmm.
If you just get inventory, say, he's in there. I got a good buck to kill in this general area. I don't worry about cameras anymore. I just go hunt. And he shows up. Am I as amped up as I've seen him 6, 7, 8, 9 times in the last 3 weeks on camera? You know what I mean? Sometimes I wonder if that causes a lot of misses or high hits or something, because that anticipation is built up so freaking much because you see that damn picture constantly. And when that opportunity comes into play, you blow it because you're so freaking amped up over it. Instead of like that surprise, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've always performed better when I like going, like the 2 bucks I killed, I didn't have on camera. I just went in and I don't get, that, like I said, you're like, holy shit, that's him. You know what I mean? One of those deals, I just think guys get too amped up over sometimes and they make mistakes on deer when they get the opportunity.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Cause like I've had numerous times, like I ran cell cameras 2 years ago. Last year I had them, but that didn't really work at all. So I was like going based off that and trying to hunt the area that my cell camera's at and hunting the actual camera instead of just hunting the sign and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just, and then you expect to see it when you see it on cell camera so much. It's like you go in there, it's like, I expect to see this deer here now.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then you use your woodsmanship more, I think, when you have just, if you don't want to run any cameras, that's great. Don't run any cameras. That's awesome. Use your woodsmanship, go out there and hunt that way. But
eventually, be honest with you, that might be where I get to. You know what I mean? I do like and even I'm actually starting to get away from a little bit of historical data. It's crazy. I preached that over the years because I kind of just anymore with how basically I told you, I'm changing kind of this hybrid rut style, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm starting to transition to is I just want to know he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know I want to know what's in these particular bedding areas. All right. I just got to go hunt. I don't really need any other information. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Are you going to, I know you want to get closer. Are you going to be changing up how high you go in a tree too now?
That's situational. I mean, you get in some of these areas, I'd be honest with you. I was in a situation this past weekend. I'm probably going to try slipping her one more time here. Let's say there's a pretty damn good ditch petering out right in the middle of a bedding area. There's some blowdowns, like it's going to be aggressive. And this bedding area, I'm telling you, she is smoking hot. I mean, she is hot. I'm going to get aggressive. I may be sitting in that pile of blowdown trees, and it may be ground hunting one day, peak rut, and try to kill one off the ground at that ditch crossing. It'll be fun. It's going to be intense, but that's what the situation calls for, and that's kind of what I'm looking at too. Actually, getting back to woodsmanship stuff is don't worry about being a tree. Maybe you got spot and stalk. Maybe you got to grab grunt call when it's raining through a clear cut, and maybe call one in and kill them off the ground, or you know what I mean, or set up on the ground. Kind of think outside the box, keep an open mind with it too when it comes to all this.
We talking like ghillie suit kind of ground?
It's just going to be solids. My Q solid bottoms. It's going to be a flannel and maybe a little face paint, baby. We're just going that way.
We have not seen Moose with some face paint.
Especially I started getting into this trad game. Everybody's like, you got to cover your face up a little bit. And like, it's been since my teen years since I wore that damn face paint, because I won't wear a mask. I can't. I would drive me flipping out. I keep it turkey season. I hate wearing damn thing, So we may break out some of the paint here. Like I said, it's make it a little different. There probably the guys that follow me for years on on social media. It may look a little different this year. My style of hunting a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's cool because I mean, the reason I asked is because I know Cody DeQuisto. He does he sets up lower in the stand and all that kind of stuff. And
I mean, I did like both my bucks this year. I wasn't. I mean, I tried to throw a number. It was under 15 feet, 12 to 14 foot. You know what I mean on both of them. Yeah, height is very overrated, but height comes in play at your situation. There might be a wind thermal situation where you got to get high or covered. Like there's situations you got to get 20, 25 feet. There's situations you got to be on the ground or in between. Read the situation. That's what gets back to what we're talking about woodsmanship. You will learn that skill. That is what it comes down to: instinct, reading the situation. You do it long enough, you get out there long enough, put your ass in a tree or on the ground long enough, you'll start to get in a situation. You read it, like I'm better off on the ground here. I'm better off 6 foot in a tree there. I'm better off over here at 18 feet. That's all going to come into play as you learn this.
Now, what I want to learn, shot placement, right? With bow and arrow. When you're that close, say that 10, 15 yards, what's your shot like with the compound? Let's say, because I shoot a compound, so let's stick with that. Like, where should you be aiming? Is there going to be drops? Should you aim high, low? Like what?
I aim the same place. If I'm up a tree or ground, I'm putting it in the pocket.
Okay.
I mean, I'm putting it in there. I mean, I want to see him fall or hear him fall.
Okay.
That's where I'm always aiming. I don't, some guys say come back a little bit. Man, I'm putting it right in that hole. I'm taking the heart out. He drops a little bit, I'm taking the lungs out. Usually I'm taking pretty much everything out. And when I hit that spot, I hang the bow up and I'm smiling because he's done. No whitetail surviving it. When you know it, when you see the blow through hits that spot, they cannot survive that hit. They are done, and I just hang the bow up and, praise the Lord, for another successful hunt. That's where I aim. I am lower third. I'm in that pocket, man. That's where I'm always aiming. You got your shot angle, stuff like that, quarter away, quarter two or whatever. Yeah, that plays into it. But your typical broadside, he's got that pocket up for me where I can put it in, I take his vitals out. I'm putting it right in that pocket.
Okay. Because I know they talk about like the either if you're too close, like depends on the shot angle, it could be higher, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it depends on you're in the tree, you're up on a tree, you're gonna have to adjust that angle. But I'm always trying to focus putting it through. I want that arrow, I guess it depends on your shot angle.
Right.
Like I said, I'm gonna stay off the main part of that shoulder always, try not to hit them high because that's usually get yourself in trouble. But in a typical broadside situation, I'm putting it in the pocket.
Okay. All right.
That's where I'm killing.
Cool.
Aim for the heart.
Yeah, I know that this year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, you're just, they say, hit them high, say goodbye, and I've not ashamed to say it over the years, especially younger years, I've won whitetails. I hit them, it just happens. That's part of the bow hunt game, unfortunately. If it hasn't happened to you, it will. And probably I'd say 90+% of you hit them high. In through the back strap or high shoulder. That's where we have a tendency of bow hunters to hit them high. So I like to come a little bit lower. Yes, it depends on the shot angle, high in your tree. Yeah, everybody out there's a situation. But just a typical, average shot or whatever you want to call it, I'm putting it in a damn pocket, and aiming low and putting it through the heart. If he drops a little bit, if I hit a little high, I'm taking lungs out still,
Yeah. Because obviously identifying plants and trees and everything, that's one thing that I know I need to do better at, and we
same here.
Talk about it.
I'm horrible. Those guys, I got a couple buddies that are foresters and that, and they make fun of me.
Yeah, but learning all this stuff, is there any reading material, identifying apps, websites that you personally have used that
other thing I've used is, like I said, I got a buddy that's into forestry stuff. He sometimes I just came back from Bo's Mountain Bucks down at camp, and the gentleman's name is Kenny Kane. If you listen to this, Kenny is a fantastic forester. He always brings brochures and stuff like that. They're out there. You know, it is Google it. You're going to find it. And what I like about that, it's for this area of Pennsylvania, or it's Pennsylvania, species kind of stuff. That's what I use. I will look a little bit online, stuff like that. But what I notice, I'll just take those pamphlets or booklets, kind of take them with me a lot of times. I have one always in my pack usually, because I know what an oak is, a red or a black oak, and your basic food. I know it is, but you start getting some other stuff. I'm like, it's a damn tree.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, my game is more bed related. Not so much food, but the food's important, how they translate off that bed, if that makes sense. So my priority is bedding, but yes, you got to pay attention where that other stuff, that food sources and stuff and browses when he's coming out of there,
We might have to add trees and food to this woodsmanship.
You're welcome.
I tell you what, you guys want a guy. Shout out to my buddy Kenny Kane. I'll give you information.
I wrote his name down.
Fantastic. He knows his shit, let me tell you. And he's a good hunter too.
All right. Yeah, I do. We do follow him on Instagram too. So I might send him a message and see if he wants to be a part of this series.
Tell him Moose said so.
Yep, I will. I will. You're going to change calling. You're going to do any calling? Because I know that's changing your whole mentality. Are you going to do that at all?
Being as tight as I am to the bedding, there could be a possibility the grunt call comes out a little bit. Yeah, I will say that. Being in a situation I see I need to use it because something's going on. Maybe I throw a doe bleed out or a grunt call or a snort wheeze. I'll read that situation, depending on time of year, early, pre-rut, I will read that situation. More than likely, probably more early, I'm probably going to be just a silent assassin. So I'm just trying to kill him coming out like how Jake Bush does, Dan and Fault, stuff like that. I'm probably going to try to stay silent there. But as we get in the pre-rut situation, I get in some of these, maybe I'm on the ground or something like that. I'll read the situation, and possibly I'll make sure there's a call on me at all time.
Yep. So we have an episode with Steve Shirk coming out that we talk about blind calling because he does it a lot.
Yeah, my area, unfortunately, my area of Pennsylvania, I'm not far from Pittsburgh. I get a ton of pressure. So my deer are probably a little bit more educated with that. I'm not saying I called him in. I've killed him that way. I just tend to, me personally, my hunting style, I like to be the silent assassin. I like just to let everything play out, him come in and kill him. That is just my style that I've kind of leaned to over the years. I will still call. Just for me personally, with the odds, I am just more successful sitting there and being quiet. That's just me personally.
Yep. Like we talked about in the episode, everyone does it completely different. Like that's
whatever gives you
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, if you like to hit that damn thing every 20 minutes and you do good, go right ahead, man. You know what I mean? You want to smack him horns together, if it's success, go right ahead. Whatever works, and you do you.
Absolutely, man. Well, Ryan, it is always an absolute pleasure having you on, dude. Where can people follow you, get in contact with you about your business, and if they want to help you, if they want your help in the woods?
Hit me up on Instagram, Moose1720. You want to just talk deer? If you're interested in my services, just DM me there, and I answer everybody.
Cool. Well, appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
See you.